Are you ready? Call the meeting to order.
I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Remind everyone this is a public meeting. We are making a written record of the meeting and a visual video record as well that's available to the public. Do we have any awards or recognition?
We have some correspondence here from, this one came from Pilot Rock, and says, thank you for hosting the Student Leadership Days 2018. We learned a lot and appreciate your support for Pilot Rock students. We also had a number of evaluations or comments made by students afterwards that they were very well received. I also have a thank you from CASA Volunteer Coordinator Diane Schockman, along with a note from Jesus Rome saying thank you for supporting our local court-appointed special advocates, CASA. If you have any questions regarding CASA, please call Jesus Rome. It's nice to get comments like that to come in. And CASA is an important program. We do support it. And the Student Leadership Day went off very, very well.
Okay. Any other awards or recognition? Minutes of the May 16th, 2018 meeting.
Move approval.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Any additions to the agenda?
No.
None. Okay. Anybody who wishes to address the board other than regarding items that are on the agenda? All right. We'll move into our business agenda, which is fairly comprehensive. However, we're going to try to get through it as expeditiously as possible. The first item being a public hearing on the adoption of the budget. We're going to go into hearing mode, and I'd like to call on the CFO, Robert Paul.
Good morning, Commissioners. Robert Paul, CFO. We developed a budget, and in April we had budget committee meetings and approved the budget, which is before you today for adoption.
Is that it?
You have any questions?
No, we sat through it.
That took 2 days to do that. You did it in 2 minutes. Commissioner Givens.
I don't have any questions. And you have a order prepared, Doug?
Yes.
Okay.
Before we do that, I would like to acknowledge the fact that it was a very effective session. I would like to commend our managers publicly for their role in their budget presentations. We tried to take a little different tack this year and not go line by line, but rather to focus on high points of their budget, where they've been, where they're going. I think that was a lot bigger part of the budget presentation, and I think a lot helpful. I'd like to thank our 3 budget committee members, citizen budget committee members, Jeff Lieber, Beth O'Hanlon, and Nancy Mabry. For the record, Nancy Mabry has retired from the board. At our last meeting, we appointed Bobby Levy to take her place on the budget committee. But I got a lot of positive comments from the citizen members of the budget committee, but a lot of comments also from our managers, who I think felt that this approach to the budget, where we start in October, put the budget together for a long period of time, and by the time it comes to the budget committee, we can talk about in more of a narrative fashion than a line item fashion, is an effective approach I think we would want to memorialize. So. Additional comments?
I would just note, you didn't go over this, but in the proposal, our total budget being $78,744,604.
Million.
million, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And,
Robert tries to cut it as much as he can.
and then our tax fund, our tax rate, base being, $2.84 a thousand, so.
As limited by law.
Okay. Any additional comments? Any comments from the public? We are in hearing mode. All right, then we'll go out of hearing mode and into action mode.
Public comments?
I asked for that.
Oh, okay.
We're out of that now.
There was none.
Mr. Chair, in the matter of adopting the budget, making appropriations, imposing, categorizing taxes for fiscal year ending June 30, 2019, I move approval.
Second.
Order 2019-01.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, it's unanimous.
And then our,
She had, I think.
Okay, and then there are a couple other items as part of the budget adoption that are before the board for approval. The first, there were 3 additional positions that were funded in the budget in the sheriff's office, and those need to be formally created by the board. The budget approval process is only step 1. This is step 2, just to create those 3 positions. The one is in dispatch, one additional criminal deputy, and one in the jail specialist.
Technician.
Yep.
Do I have a motion?
Move approval.
second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. Okay.
And then the second part of that, with the adoption of the budget, also setting the salaries for the exempts, that will include a cost of living adjustment for 2% for the exempts. That is based on what has been bargained for with the represented employees.
And that includes recommendations from the compensation committee, I assume?
Yes, it does.
Okay. We have a motion.
I would move approval.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Is that it?
That's it.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Simonis.
Medic.
Medic, called Medic 1. All right. The next item is presentations by the Watershed Councils and the Soil and Water Conservation District. I assume you did not get that on the...
I was not able to get it. I never received it, so it's not up there at this time.
Well, we have printed copies anyway, so they were distributed, so we'll go ahead with that.
Kyle Wagner, District Manager for Umatilla County Soil and Water Conservation District. Good morning, gentlemen.
Morning.
All right, loading. Perfect. So again, thanks for having me here. I'm always glad to come before you guys and show what we've been doing throughout the year. Go ahead and next. Okay. So I just kind of wanted to give a brief rundown about what we kind of do in the county. At the very core, our purpose is conservation, with the mission to conserve, protect, and develop soil, water, and other natural resources for the economic and environmental benefit of the residents of Umatilla County. And there's 3 ways we do that, and those 3 ways are through outreach and education, project planning and implementation, and collaboration. So in outreach and education, we host quite a few different events, watershed field days, different presentations. We often go to different events with informational booths, and we also have taken part in hosting trainings as well. And in project planning and implementation, we primarily deal with grants and landing grants for citizens and organizations within the county. We also work with some federal funded programs, CREP being an example, and also state as well, working with the Oregon Department of Agriculture. And on the category of collaboration, we are part of many different committees and boards in the county working on regional issues with our natural resources. So for the year 2017-2018 fiscal year, we hosted 1 watershed field days. It's about 800 fifth graders. That's all the fifth graders in Umatilla County and some in Morrow. Different fairs. We presented, gave training on Department of State Lands, Army Corps of Engineer presentation, and also at the college. And I just included a couple pictures of Watershed Field Days this year. It was just in May. So the kids always have a good time, and we're really glad we're able to perform that service for the county.
Where is that?
So Watershed Field Days, that one specifically is at the Cripes property up Mackay Creek, above the reservoir. But we have 3 sites. There's one in McNary, one in Mackay, and one in Lexington. So, and then for project planning implementation, this year we worked on a total of 20 projects. Total new projects that we worked on was around 15, and the amount we got funded was 9. So as of this year, as of now, for the 17-18 year, we brought in $175,000 of new project funds. And this is just a quick chart. Basically, as you can see, we're 60% success rate with our projects of applying for and receiving funds, and a couple on there are still in progress. So if we get those through, we'll have another $150,000 to add to this year. And I just included a couple pictures here with some of the projects we're working on. We're turning that riparian restoration, supplemental and free water area. It's the same pictures. And then, of course, maintaining. This is an example of what our end goal project looks like. Livestock water developments, installing troughs throughout the county. Moving on. As I mentioned, we work with the CREP program. That's the Conservation and Rural Enhancement Program, federal program through NRCS, and the district does the work for it. And that program's goal is to plant riparian vegetation alongside streams, which of course adds a myriad of benefits. This year we have about 15 different projects going. So it's an example of a project of before and a project after. Another part of what we do is we work heavily with the Oregon Department of Agriculture, with the state, doing focus areas. We choose areas within the county I devote 25% of my time doing outreach and project implementation in those areas. So this year was Big Springs Ranch and Spring Hollow, and we're closing them out this year. We've reached all the landowners in those areas, and we've implemented multiple projects and have market improvement, so we're moving on. And then newer to the state are these strategic implementation areas, which are a compliance regulatory program that the ODA runs, and the district provides the work for it, working with the landowners locally in a non-threatening, non-regulatory manner. And so we're just started that this year, and myself and my employees have begun reaching out to the Mackay, Lower Birch, and Stewart Creek areas, looking for projects to help landowners. And that's just a picture of that area. And the final category that we serve the residents of the county is through collaborative efforts. And again, as I mentioned, we're on multiple different committees working to find solutions to our regional natural resource problems. And what we all have been waiting for, the use of the 17-18 funds that you guys generously provided. Basically, we use the $10,000 that you send us for highest impacting the county. And so this fiscal year, we're able to use $4,000 of that to create a new position, and the other $4,000 to create another position. So with the $10,000 funds, we brought in $2,000. We used it as match for 2 different grants to bring in 2 full-time employees to the district. So last year when I spoke to you, I was the only employee of the district. We now have 4, including myself. So we are rapidly expanding, and we couldn't do that without your support. And the final $2,000, it was split between 3 small grants that we also worked on, helping 2 different ranchers and a farmer with irrigation efficiency and livestock water development. So, and that's just a quick chart showing the allocation. And we're always here to serve. As you can see, we offer a lot of benefits. We're non-regulatory, non-state, non-federal, which means we're very flexible. We run GIS, project natural resource mitigation, low-cost analysis and research, and then we also will be getting a drone here soon to start being able to provide drone services to residents of the county, farmers and ranchers. So, thank you for your support. Couldn't do without you. Is there any questions?
One quick question.
Shoot.
I saw the water trough in there.
Yeah.
What's the conservation purpose of that?
So the idea is couple. So for the cattle, there tend to be riparian loafers, which means they're down in the stream. They knock down the riparian vegetation, and that can cause a water quality issue. So what these troughs do is they redistribute a point of water so that the cows can travel further to that point. This also helps the farmer because then they can more efficiently utilize their pasture. So instead of the cows only eating in one area and they have all this grass, way up on high, saw that picture where it's way up and high on top of a ridge. The cows don't go up there because there's no resource, so they don't graze up there. So that's what that helps do.
It also conserves water.
Yes. And cows gain about twice as much poundage when they're drinking out of a trough as opposed to a pond or stream. So helps everybody out.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Probably a lot cleaner than some of those ponds, too.
That's right. All right. Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Brian Walcott. I'm the Executive Director of the Walla Walla Basin Watershed Council. We are based at 810 South Main Street, Milton Freewater. We're a nonprofit organization. We are recognized by the county in 1994 and by state mandate. And watershed councils were set up to resolve natural resource issues and bring in grant funding to help resolve issues related to water, fish, wildlife across the state of Oregon. Our focus area is the area from Milton Freewater, Weston, State Line, and I'm glad to see after a little technological glitch that my presentation is actually up on the screen. Thanks. You can move on to the next slide. Our funding. Last year we secured funding from a variety of sources. Our largest funding source is the Bonneville Power Administration. We also received funding from the state of Washington, state of Oregon, U.S. Bureau of Reclamation, multiple foundations to support our education and outreach program. And the county has been providing support through the years in the range of $10,000 to $15,000, which has been extremely beneficial in being able to leverage these other dollars to show that we have local support. Next slide. One of the big projects we've been working on over the last few years is in collaboration with both sides of the state line, working with irrigation districts in Oregon and Washington, the Confederated Tribes of the Umatilla Indian Reservation, Milton Freewater, City of Walla Walla, State of Oregon, State of Washington, our Watershed Council, our counterpart organization in Washington, the Walla Walla Water Management Partnership, U.S. Bureau of Reclamation, and the Washington Office of Columbia River. What we're working on is stream flow improvements in the Walla Walla River that can satisfy tribal treaty demands while also keeping water on farms and on ranches for irrigation. We also have been working quite a bit on fish passage projects. This is one we're currently working on. I've got 30% designs for the Cows Creek project. This is just upstream of Milton Freewater. We hope to go to construction on that one next winter or next summer. This is a project we completed last winter. This is one of 3 aquifer recharge projects that we've installed. This is with the Fruitvale Water Users Association Irrigation District. We use this site to recharge the shallow aquifer in the wintertime, and then it's used as temporary water storage in the summer. This is a sprinkler conversion we're doing with orchards within the Walla Walla Irrigation District. And this property owner, we've been converting him from real irrigation over to sprinkler irrigation on 77.15 acres. Conserved water from this project will be protected in stream to help satisfy requirements for ESA fish agreements with U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service.
Was this all the flood irrigation they were doing?
Yeah, this was one of the last farms that had been flood irrigating, and there was always concern if we converted all the orchards over to efficiency, we'd see the shallow aquifer drop even more. We have a recharge project that is coupled with this irrigation efficiency, and we started implementing that 2 years ago. Another big issue we have in the Walla Walla Basin, over the last year, the state of Oregon declared a serious water management problem area for the Milton Freewater, Weston to State Line, Umatilla area, saying that our basalt deep aquifer is dropping 3 to 5 feet per year, and it's starting to impact people's wells, both in the agricultural zone, but also with Milton Freewater city wells. And so what we are doing, we are able to secure Oregon state dollars and Bonneville dollars to study an aquifer storage and recovery project with Milton Freewater, and we're currently in the study phase of that. We are also working with some farms to see what opportunities there might be to take water out of the river in the wintertime, store it in the ground, and then they would rely on that water in the summer, and instead of just continuing to deplete the basalt aquifer. This is one of our managed aquifer recharge projects we built last year. This is the Gallagher site. This is one of 14 recharge sites we have in the Oregon side of the valley, and we're putting 5,000 to 7,000 acre feet of water into the ground each winter, and some of that water helps people's wells, so they have domestic and irrigation water. We also have seen spring creeks on the valley floor improve in flow, and so we're improving both surface flows and water levels for farms.
This is a Tucker property.
Correct. Yeah, that site's just south of Milton or Yuma Pine.
Yeah.
We also monitor groundwater levels in the shallow aquifer. We have 73 wells that we monitor in Oregon, and much of that information is posted to our website so people can track groundwater levels in their area. We also monitor streams in the valley, both the river itself at a few locations, and then several small creeks, and then also some of the diversions. And this is a gauge just upstream of Milton Freewater. We have a radio signal, and we post this in near real time so people can know whether we're about to get a flood or as we're dropping down, so they can get an idea of when they might be regulated off with their irrigation. We do quite a bit of education events. This is a watershed field day with 5th graders from the Milton Freewater schools up at Harris County Park. And then we also do summer science camps with students. And our education and outreach coordinator has over 100 events he does with students throughout the year, both in school, after school, and then in the summertime, just helping students understand more about the natural resources around them. We provide a projects tour to citizens in the area, agencies that want to get out and look at projects we're doing, hoping if we can bring people out to look at a recharge site or a fish passage site or a habitat project, they might, a landowner might consider doing that on their own property. And this is just when we did the tour last spring. But that's just a quick summary of the projects we've been implementing over the last year. The county funds have been essential to demonstrate local support and help us leverage other dollars. I appreciate the county's support. 2 big issues that we are facing now. We're hearing from Bonneville Power Administration that due to budget cuts, we're likely to see significant cutbacks in our funding. BPA has told us they're no longer going to fund irrigation efficiency. They're no longer going to fund managed aquifer recharge projects. It looks like we're going to get pigeonholed into just doing fish passage projects from now on. And with that, we're not going to be able to provide as many services to the valley each year. We're hoping to be able to hold on to some Bonneville Power funding so we can leverage more state dollars or dollars from other federal sources.
How about some of our piping projects?
That is going to be a big impact. It's going to be very difficult to do large-scale piping projects with the irrigation districts anymore. But I thank you all for your time.
Thank you.
Didn't know if there are any questions.
No, it's very interesting.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Elfring?
No questions.
Okay, thank you very much for coming. Appreciate it. Item number 3, purchase of vests.
Morning, Commissioners. Dale Kremer, Director, Umatilla County Community Justice. This is a purchase that I come before you all about every 5 years for. I have 19 staff in my office that through the course of their duties are required to wear ballistic vests while they're in the field. Those vests expire after 5 years. We're approaching our 5 years on our last round and are up for repurchasing and replacing those. We purchase these off of a state contract, much like other equipment that we've seen. And in this particular case, we've done some research of what's the equipment being used by other agencies around us and in the field, and landed on the product of the point blank vest. 19 of those comes to a cost of $16,409.16. This is a budgeted expense out of the community corrections budget. No general funds are attached to this purchase.
Dale, I haven't worn a vest, and I'm looking here at 3 different opportunities to buy. There are 3 different choices. We selected the top choice, or the most expensive one.
Yeah.
Is there a reason for that?
Yeah, we're going to staff and telling staff that I want to save money on the piece of equipment that might stop a bullet for them is not necessarily a popular topic that I wanted to do, is point one. Point two is we look at the industry standard of what people are using, and that's the vest that is most commonly purchased. 3, if you've ever worn a vest in August, you will know that weight, thickness, and things like that matter. And so this is the vest that was most sought after from people that are working in the law enforcement field for that reason. You can't believe the amount of heat that those things will generate out of a person in those summer months. So coming up with something that is effective yet lighter, more breathable, that's why we landed on this particular
That's
one.
the difference between them.
Yeah.
They all stop bullets, right?
Well, you hope. They stop certain bullets. They don't stop all of them.
I would move approval.
Second?
All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Thank you.
Item 4, rock purchase. It appears to be items 4, 5, and 6. Is that correct, Mr. Fellows?
Good morning, Tom Fellows, Public Works Director. What this is our chip rock for the Hermiston area. Our crushing efforts haven't been able to keep up with our demand, so we're in a situation this year where we're needing to purchase our rock for our chip seal project down in the Hermiston area. We called around and found out who had the product available. Only 2 suppliers down there did, and that was Granite and Pioneer Construction, Terry Clark. And Pioneer was the cheapest by quite a bit, so our proposal is that we purchase our chip seal rock down that Hermiston area from Terry Clark this year for our overall project.
Mr. Chair, I move approval.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Melinda, do you have Mr. Walcott's presentation still? I suspect he is, despite our scintillating agenda.
Oh, you're fine.
Item 5, petition to initiate road proceedings.
Actually, I'm not sure about all that.
Okay.
It was generated through Doug's.
Basically, the residents on McKinney Avenue out of Hermiston have been working for some time to address the condition of their road. They have chosen to petition the county to start the process to acquire property for a public road. The first step of that would be having a public hearing with the property owners as well as anyone else to determine if it's in the public interest to initiate the proceedings. So really the first step is to set it for a hearing, and that's what the proposed order today is for, is to schedule it for a hearing a public hearing in July.
I'm sorry. The only thing that I'd like to add to that is by state statute, the state requires a 50-foot minimum right-of-way. We have a county ordinance, or we have a county standard that actually says 60-foot. So whatever happens, the end result is somehow they're going to have to come to a 60-foot right-of-way on this as we move forward.
I know it'll probably come out in the hearing, but does that road meet county requirements as far as construction? Ability to carry traffic, so on.
I would say that the sub-base would probably be adequate, but there is no way that the road is inadequate. It would be totally inadequate for any county standard that we have right now.
Tom, how many other roads, public roads, would this open up a Pandora's box to have citizens say, well, I want mine now made a county road, so the county has to take care of it?
I can't give you a number of how many off the top of my head. However, I will say that over the years, I have been part of numerous conversations with people that live on public roads or something less than a county road that were very interested in figuring out how to get their road into a situation where the county would have to maintain it. I don't know if that answers the question, but it would certainly, in my opinion, it would certainly open up a lot more opportunity for conversation.
Do you have any standards of measurement by which a decision would even be considered?
Not that I'm aware of.
I mean, obviously there's a difference between a dead-end road that serves one house, a dead-end road that serves several houses, a through road. You understand where I'm going?
Correct, and I'm not personally aware of any standards like that. We could certainly do some research and look into it. But I don't know that they exist currently.
Personally, before we schedule a hearing, I'd be a lot more comfortable researching if there, somewhere in this country, there must be some kind of standards that are even considered.
Matt Kinney's here. I don't know.
I do know that this, I mean, for the public road, I mean, they're looking to make it a public road, and then I know that to establish it as a county road in a future date, they need to establish an ordinance separate from. So public road would be step one, which we have many of those in the county. And that's still on the property owner to maintain those roads, adjoining owners. But then once it becomes a county road, it'd be an ordinance. That'd be another step in the process.
But I'm kind of going back to referencing Commissioner Givens' comment. I'd be interested in knowing what standards of measurement you'd even utilize in a hearing.
To determine whether it's in the best public interest. Is that where you're?
That's right. Is that?
Well, that's
Yeah,
part
that's
of it.
kind of where I'm heading.
This is setting a precedent. We've never done this before, have we, Doug?
That is correct. Well, not for many years. I mean, this is how they used to establish roads. As the standard is if it's in the public interest or not. There hopefully is historically some precedent that we could look for in the case law to help out with that definition and what it is. I mean, certainly if you're looking at public interest, whether it's a dead-end road versus a connector road or a thoroughfare, then there's that distinction. But
Traffic counter.
When all these properties were subdivided, these property owners, to get them subdivided and build a nice home on them, agreed to sign an irrevocable consent. Is that correct?
Well, this isn't really a true subdivision, and I'm not sure how it was partitioned. I know that the last partition, they did require the property owner on the east end to dedicate additional property for the right-of-way. And so I assume that included a covenant to participate in any improvement.
Again, the whole process that bothers me is the fact that these people have nice homes, and that's great, but they want all the county residents to pony up and pay for their road to be taken over as a county road. And I philosophically and ethically don't agree with that. They agreed to have homes there and maintain a road, and now it's, well, let's have everybody else pay for it.
Well,
That came out in some of our hearings.
they may, I don't think they have any problem maintaining a road for their use. I think their petition addresses something broader, which is everybody else's use. So that's where we go back to what I said about some measure by which we determine the public interest. And I'd rather have that conversation prior to a hearing.
We could pursue a traffic count.
Well, also, beyond that standards that,
We can certainly do the research to see if there's anything out there that determines what level of connectivity, I guess, would determine, public benefit.
well, I think
Fact of the
that
matter-
goes to Commissioner Givens' comment about, is this in the private interest? The private interest versus the public interest.
And I know in the testimony previously, folks said, well, the county uses that road, so the county should pay for it. Well, now,
Well-
do we have facilities on that road that we use? No, we don't.
The county, as such, my assumption would be they were referring to other residents of the county using it as a through road, but it's not unique in the county. I would guess that the majority of our public roads in the county have some connectivity. I mean, there are far more of them that have connectivity than our dead-end roads. We also have county-owned and maintained roads that are dead-end roads. So they all serve the public interest at some level. Whether or not there's a level or there's some documentation of determining a level, I don't know. Those are some questions that we can certainly ask our Oregon Association of County Engineers group, or and do a little research along those lines. Yeah, this road isn't necessarily, I don't feel, unique in any way. I mean, to any other road in the county.
Well, right now, to my understanding, you have worked with the property owners on McKinney Road to mitigate some of the problems.
Correct. We went in and actually did some pothole patching on that road. At reimbursement, they were required to reimburse us for the materials and the labor, but so that was, in the scheme of things, we were able to provide that at a lot cheaper than they would have been able to get any contractor to do it by far. Because we're set up, that's what we do, and by not making a special trip, by picking it up in our normal scheme of things, there's no travel time. I mean, we were just able to provide I believe a unique service to them at a good rate. So
Well, it was only about $1,500.
$1,500 was what we charged them for that.
Well, that was a more cost-effective alternative.
Correct. Yeah, and that should buy them a lot of time on that road. What we did actually will buy some time as far as being able to not have the road deteriorate any further.
I would like to get a motion, if anybody's willing, that we postpone this till we get more information.
I would so move.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right. Can you convey that?
Yes, I will.
Okay.
So my question is, would you, when we get some more information together, you want us to bring that to
Come back to
a
us.
staff meeting or a open or a board meeting, or how would you prefer to
I think
handle that?
personally, since we initiated the proceeding in a public board meeting, I'd like to have the response come back in a public board meeting.
And you'll find out on the legal.
Right, and I'll do some research on it.
Okay. And then we'll research you'll be able to research further in that?
Yes. Yep.
Okay.
I guess as that motion that we passed, I'd make it a really comprehensive data gathering, both from AOC and kind of other counties, and see, and then find out also how many roads we have that this could possibly open us up for. Well, you did it to my road, now for their road, I want it on mine. My other question, Doug, would we be in any way liable to go back because of a public road that we have addressed or haven't addressed in the past, and do work on those?
No.
Okay.
But I think I agree with you, this is monumental enough.
Oh, yeah.
It requires considerable research.
Yes.
This could end up costing the county quite a chunk of change.
One thing I would mention is I don't think that there's probably a lot of roads in the county that have this, that are this exact same situation where there's been a public road and it's paved that people have been traveling for years. I found a 1952 aerial that shows the road there at that time, but there's no dedicated public way. There's no record of the public ever dedicating a road, but it's just been there. So
I guess that's my question is, historically, how have roads been brought into the county system? Obviously, at one time, there were no county roads.
be a
So-
petition and board of road viewers, and they'd have it surveyed, and then there'd ultimately be a board order establishing it as a county road.
Is there a requirement that it be brought up to a certain standard prior to the county adopting it?
I believe as long as it met the road viewers' acceptance, then it was verified as a county road.
Okay, thank you. Item 6, Public Works Equipment Replacement 2018-19.
Did we vote on that?
You did.
Oh, didn't we vote? I'm sorry. All right, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Item 6.
Okay, this, now that we have an adopted budget for next year, what this is this is the annual request from the Public Works Department to bring before the board our equipment list that we actually based our budget on. What this does for us is if we went through a normal purchasing process, we would have to come before the board, get permission to even go out for an RFP on a piece of equipment, then go through the RFP process, come back before the board for purchase. This document doesn't give us permission to go purchase anything, but it cuts the timeline so that when we're looking at a used piece of equipment, if we find a bargain out there, something that comes along, equipment dealers don't like to sit on this stuff very often, and good deals tend to go very rapidly. So this can cut up to 3 weeks out of our process in order to be able to advertise and then get permission to purchase a piece of equipment. So it's simply a means to expedite and try to be a little more efficient about the way we handle our equipment purchases with the dealers. It's quite a list. There is obviously more dollars worth of equipment on the list than we budgeted for that in our opinion, but we're not going to purchase more than we have in the budget. So it simply allows us to better utilize the funding that's available in our purchases.
Do you know what the budget is?
Our equipment replacement budget this year is $1.5 million.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, I would move that we approve this request up to the budgeted amount for this year of $1.5 million.
I would second that but I would reserve a question to ask.
Well, we also want to have our annual celebration of what a good idea this is.
Yeah.
Which we do. Okay.
My question is, would this equipment meet the standards that you're going to be held to as far as clean burning and emissions?
Anything moving forward, we're going to look at meeting those standards. That's the main thing. The new equipment that is on the list will meet and exceed the standards. The used equipment, we always go out. We're looking to. We don't want to buy something that's going to be obsolete in a couple of years. We want to buy something that's going to get us a good time, use time and something that lasts us for a while. So yes, that's one of the things we're going to be looking at.
Tom had talked to me about this bill, and the new fuel standards, he has to meet them by 2021.
2021, I believe, is when the new clean fuel standards actually come fully into effect. And
Well, that's why I was asking, because of the used equipment.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then that used equipment becomes,
we're fully aware of those, and that's one of the things that we're working forward with. That's why we added money in our equipment line this year. That's one of the legs of the stool that we're certainly working towards trying to meet that ahead of time rather than, and be a little proactive rather than reactive after it comes into effect.
Thank you. Mr. Chair, I'm satisfied.
Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. If we buy new, doesn't that impact the Rainbow Fleet?
As a matter of
They're all
fact,
the
it
same
does.
color. All right, anything else?
But just for your information, the new trucks that we're looking at are on the NJPA contract, and we can buy a local on that. So that's
good.
Woodpecker has the international trucks. So that's one way that we're able to buy on a contract and still do business locally. So it doesn't always work out that way, but this time it does.
That's good. Commissioner Elfin, that's one of your hot buttons.
Yes.
All right, item 7.
Okay, the next number of items, there are some county employees that were not able to make it today, so I'm going to try to answer any questions and present it. The first item is renewal of the health insurance for county employees. This includes both medical and dental. The quotes that were received from Pacific Source, the current provider, include a 5.3% increase for health and vision and a 4% increase for dental. And so the matter is before the board just for the approval to renew the insurance for employees through Pacific Source for another year.
In the current time, that's a very modest increase.
That's our first renewal, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
And we didn't know what it would be.
That is correct.
Good.
Excellent.
Motion?
Mr. Chair, I move approval.
Second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, life insurance?
Okay, this is also before the board for approval. This is for insurance, life insurance for county employees. It's through U.S. Able Life, and it is renewable up to 2 years at the current rate. So the recommendation is to renew it through the current provider for an additional 2 years.
So at the same rate we have had it for.
Yes, there's
Move
no rate
approval.
increase.
Moving second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, item 9, a request for proposal for drone purchase.
Emergency Management Services obtained a grant for a drone, and it's before the board for approval to issue a request for proposal for the purchase of a drone.
You totally grant.
Not necessarily. Originally, yes. The grant was for $15,000, and that was applied for and approved recently, but it was applied for 2 years ago, and they used 2 years ago prices. The price of drone has not increased, but the radio and the camera equipment that will go on the drone has. So Tom Roberts indicated that there might be maybe a couple of $1,000s that he will have to add to it to purchase a drone. He thought he would have that in his budget.
At this point, it's an RFP.
Just an RFP, just requesting. And so if it exceeds and becomes too expensive, then you could indicate your disfavor when the approval comes forward.
I move approval, Mr. Chair.
Second.
Favor say aye.
Aye.
Who's his liaison? You?
I am.
Oh, okay. All right, item 10, Housing Authority Board appointments.
Okay, this is going to be before the board for approval of members for the Umatilla County Housing Authority Board. This is not really part of the county, but the Board of Commissioners does appoint the board. They have had a vacancy for a number of years and have someone has applied for appointment, Leslie Weimer. And then in addition, there were 2 terms that have expired, and so that the proposal is to reappoint Doug Barrick and Joe Thompson for additional 4-year periods, and then appoint Leslie Weimer for a term as well.
I know all 3 of them, and they're very capable individuals.
Is that a motion?
Mr. Chair, I move approval of Order BCC 2018-046.
Is there a second?
Second.
Favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Item 11, purchase of vehicle. This A&T.
This is A&T. Previously, the board authorized the Assessment and Taxation Department to go out for an invitation for bids to replace a vehicle that had been totaled due to it sitting in the parking lot and getting struck by another driver. And at that point, I think you approved the department to go out for up to $20,000 for a new vehicle. There were two dealers that submitted bids, and the low bid was a 2018 Fusion for $19,400 from Tom Denschel Ford. That meets the specification and is the low bid, and it is currently in stock, so available. So the recommendation is to purchase the 2018 Ford Fusion.
Otherwise, 12 to 14 weeks.
Yes, they'd have to order it in.
Did we receive any, or is the damage being subrogated?
They totaled the vehicle for about $2,000. That's all we received.
We did get that, though.
We did receive
Okay.
it, yes.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, I move approval authorizing a contract to purchase 2018 Fusion from Tom Denschel Ford in the amount of $19,400.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 And
Okay.
as far as what we received, we did some research, and that was a good deal.
Item number 12, property auction.
It was a good car.
Yeah, it was.
Fortuitous it was where it was, probably.
County foreclosed on property for delinquent property taxes. This year, there were two houses that were on that included, and then the one lot that was left over from last year. So those three properties are before the board for approval to go to auction for a hopeful sale. And if you want to, yeah, it did
Is that
take.
the lot?
No, that is a house outside of Milton Freewater and Highway 11. I think the next, there were two parts, that's the other side of it.
Okay.
It surprisingly is also on our list for solid waste violations.
Are we surprised?
That is the lot, the house here in Pendleton. And there is one more, the lot on North Main.
Is that
in
buildable?
Pendleton. Yes, it is buildable. Well, in theory, yes.
North Main.
It's the last lot in the subdivision.
That's right up by your driveway, isn't it?
No, no, it's on the way up the hill.
There's not enough grass to raise Red Angus on.
No.
Basically, in this subdivision, the county ended up owning most of the lots along North Main and previously foreclosed and sold on them, and then this is the last one left.
Mr. Chair, I move approval of order TX 2018-01.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, we're going into hearing mode. Fee ordinance amendment.
This is the annual update that the county departments do for their fees that are charged to the public. It's before the board for a first reading. The fees vary from different departments, and the first one is coming from records. It's an increase in recording fees of $40. This was mandated by the state, and it's not really anything the county has control over, but it now results in a $40 additional fee for recording a document. A one-page
Was this
document
for
is now
every transaction?
every transaction. A one-page recorded document now is up to $96.
This was the very unpopular.
And this created some.
Not only does it raise the fees for us, puts the focus on us, and we don't get much out of it.
We don't get anything out of it.
Right.
None of the $40, there's not any administrative fee on that.
Wow.
Goes to the state.
Yeah.
The next one is coming
Put a little
from,
sign up that says this wasn't our fault.
actually, there is one.
A sign?
Give a phone, is a phone number to
In
Mount
records,
Salem?
they made it very clear in records where it came from.
What?
It's very clear in records where it came from.
Good.
The next one is coming from information technology. Unfortunately, it's just a placeholder at this time. They hope to provide services to those requesting the ability to view documents online They think it's doable, but they want to come up with a price, and they haven't done it yet. So hopefully by the time of the second reading, it will be available, or else it will be stricken from the ordinance. Assessment and Taxation is requesting an increase in their office research fee of $30 per hour to $40. This is based on the cost of providing the labor for the office research. And they're also requesting to increase the return check fee from $25 to $35, also to cover the cost of the NSF check. The Board of Commissioners is requesting an increase in fees based on the requests that we've been receiving for copies of security video. It is suggested that that price would be $40 per hour for those requests, and the cost of the thumb drive would also be included in that, unless the requesting party provides their own thumb drive. The Human Services Department is proposing increasing their sliding fee schedule. This is also a federal requirement. Unfortunately, they did not provide it to me in time for today's hearing. Hopefully by the second reading it will be available for your review. The Environmental Health Program is proposing to increase some of its, not really increase many of them. Most of this is just addressing some situations that have occurred, and we're proposing no fee. One is for Benevolent Facility, which main focus is to serve food directly to indigent individuals at no charge. That historically got lumped in with other ones, and there was a charge for it. So now they're proposing that there wouldn't be any fee for that or the plan review for it. There are additional fees that are assessed for non-reviewable and late penalty fee. By state statute, these really can't be incurred until January 15th, though the ordinance is being updated to reflect the January 15th deadline rather than January 1st. They're also proposing to include a reinspection fee for the pool facilities of $141 per hour with a 1 hour minimum. This is for any reinspection beyond 2 in 1 calendar year. So they have to, those ones they have to keep going back to reinspect until they actually come into compliance. There will be a fee that is proposed. And then also for plan reviews, they're adding 2 new categories for not-for-profit. of $190 for that, and then for school plan reviews, $138. This is a reduction from their other fees. The road department is proposing to increase their LID fee from $1,000 to $2,000. And then finally, the surveyor proposed several increases to cover the costs, making it clear that filing fee of $25 applies to review of all documents by the surveyor. The partition plat review fee, though, would be increasing from $125 to $150, and the subdivision plat review fee would be increasing from $150 to $175, and rather than $10 per lot on top of that $175, it would be $15 per lot. And those are the fees that are proposed to be changed for this year by the departments.
Questions? Questions from the audience? We'll close the hearing and go into deliberation.
So we need to set the
Just
date of the
basically
second.
yeah. And the proposal would be hopefully the next
yes.
Meeting, which would be June 20. Is that correct?
It's a hard one to read.
I know that is.
Don't we have to do 15 days?
It's 14 days. 14
working days.
All right. Is there a motion to have a second reading on June 14th or June 20th?
So moved.
Okay, second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay. All right. Now we'll go back into hearing mode and go into supplemental budgets.
Good morning, Commissioners. Robert Paul, CFO. We've got 2 supplemental budgets to consider this morning. They appeared in the May 29th issue of the East Oregonian publication. Summary of the first one, Budget Order 2018-72, School-Based Health Program, the Wellness Hubs. The Wellness Hub program requires a supplemental budget to appropriate funding not known at the adoption of the budget. This requires an increase in local revenue of $3,876, an increase in state revenue of $45,200, an increase in the materials and services of $35,998, and an increase in contingency of $6,078. Also, Budget Order 2018-75, Human Services, the Mental Health Administration Program, requires a supplemental budget to appropriate funding not known at the adoption of the budget. This requires an increase in state revenues of $370,000 and an increase in materials and services of $370,000.
Questions? Mr. Paul? All right, we'll go out of audience questions. We'll go out of public hearing mode and into deliberation.
Mr. Chair, I move approval of Budget Order 2018-72.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
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 I move approval of Budget Order 2018-75.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Item 15, budget transfers. The return of council is expanding the range of motions.
We also have 5 transfers of appropriations this morning. In summary, Budget Order 2018-69, General Fund Jail. The jail program requires a transfer of appropriation to appropriate funding not known at the adoption of the budget. This requires an increase in materials and services of $125,000 and a decrease in contingency of $125,000. Budget Order 2018-70, General Fund Veteran Services. The Veteran Services Program requires a transfer of appropriations to appropriate funding not known at the adoption of the budget. This requires an increase in materials and services of $13,000 and a decrease of contingency of $13,000. Budget Order 2018-71, Community Justice Transitional Housing. The Transitional Housing Program requires a transfer of appropriation to appropriate funding not known at the adoption of the budget. This requires an increase in materials and services of $5,000 and a decrease in contingency of $5,000. And Budget Order 2018-73, the ECHO Community Benefit Plan requires a transfer of appropriations to budget for requires a transfer of appropriations to budget for funding not known at the adoption of the budget. This requires an increase in materials and services of $20,000 and a decrease in contingency of $20,000. And finally, Budget Order 2018-74, General Fund Finance. The Finance Program requires a transfer of appropriations to budget for funding not known at the adoption of the budget. This requires an increase in materials and services of $5,000 and a decrease in contingency of $5,000.
Questions? Nope. Questions?
No
All right.
questions.
Do we have some motions?
Commissioner Alfred, you have the orders?
Mr. Chair, I move approval of Budget Order 2018-69.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
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 Move approval of Budget Order 2018-70.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
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 Move approval of Budget Order 2018-71.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye. Move approval of Budget Order 2018-73.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Move approval of Budget Order 2018-74.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
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 Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. Item 16, budget building demolition payable.
This is before the board for approval due to the dollar amount. This was to abate a problem building and for a property, and the cost was $6,500 for Whitlock Construction to remove all of the remaining buildings. The house itself had been burned out, so most of the structure was largely gone anyway, and then took care of the remaining outbuildings. The property now is currently totally clean, other than some weeds.
It was not on the reposition list or the auction list.
No.
Is that the one down in Hermit?
Yeah, on Lorraine Avenue.
Yeah.
There was a picture attached to it if you
Yeah.
want to take a look at
It's a better picture now.
it. Oh, no, it's not on the, but I meant that was attached to the pinky.
Yeah, I saw it.
That one document, council, I don't think has come this way. That one.
Yeah, it's
Okay, is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 All right, item 17, vehicle replacement.
Okay, this is coming before the board to issue an invitation to bid for a new vehicle to replace one of the commissioner's vehicle.
Mr. Chair, I move approval.
Second.
This is the one that's in the vehicle replacement plan, is it not?
Yes, it's in the plan for 1819. I believe that we issue an invitation for bid now, we should pay for it out of next year's
Okay.
budget.
I think that should be part of the motion.
Everybody needs to sign that.
But it is part of the
right, yeah,
2018-19,
Will you make that part of your motion, Bill?
Yes.
part of the 2018-19 vehicle replacement plan.
I'll approve that with my second.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, good, thank you. That gets us to the bottom of the agenda. So, not bad. Comments from the commissioners.
I don't have any.
I just want to make a comment that we had a meeting in Hermiston yesterday with the representatives of the four major cities in Umatilla County, all inquiring about the STIF funds.
Oh, yeah.
And they, of course, have specific objectives that they would like to achieve, and we had to remind them that there is a purpose for those funds, and there is a procedure for those funds, and the procedure is going to be followed. We will be appointing an advisory committee, making recommendations to the board on that, and if they have any projects that they wish to have considered, they would have to present them there. That's it.
Who from the county was there?
We had our legal counsel, we had our CFO,
Oh,
and
good.
we don't have a CEO, do we?
No.
CFO, and we had our planning director.
Oh, good, okay. All right. Anything else? We're adjourned.
Very good.